Yes, what you just witnessed was my team smashing $25,000, or about 90,000 dirhams, into my face. And as you can tell by my screen, it's a lot of money. And I make more than this every single week. So what I'm about to show you guys in this video, the funnel that I've meticulously crafted over the past 4 years that allows me to produce over $25,000 every week for myself. Let's jump into a screen share. So at a very high level, this is actually just what my agency looks like. And right now, these systems are generating me around $135,000 every single month in recurring revenue. Now, fundamentally, every agency can be broken down, or every service business can really be broken down into two different mechanisms. You have your acquisition systems, aka your way of getting clients and getting new business on board, and your fulfillment systems, which basically just means how do you actually deliver the promises that you're making to the clients to get them to sign with you in the first place, right? And essentially, when it comes to building an agency, if you have these two areas dialed in, you can kind of scale infinitely. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down all of the various components within my acquisition fulfillment systems in terms of the various channels that I use to acquire clients, the different systems that I have, and the funnels that I use on the acquisition side, and also the products that I sell, the maths behind my agency, as well as the team structure that I personally adopt. And then I'm gonna tie it back with some simple principles to show you guys how you guys can apply this exact framework and structure in order to build and grow your own agencies. So let's dive into it, right? So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is acquisition channels. Now, in my personal agency, I have 3 main acquisition channels. Number 1, YouTube Organic. Number 2, we send about 3,000 cold emails every single day right now. And come July 1st, it's going to be about 10 to 20,000 a day in cold emails. And we also get a lot of business through introductions, referrals, and word of mouth as well. And you can see, because we've nailed all 3 of these channels, it's not hard to imagine how I actually get a couple clients signed every single week under my agency without even really trying at this point. So essentially, these are the main channels that we use. And of course, in order to facilitate all 3 of these channels without too much of my involvement, we would need some systems, right? Which brings me on to the second bucket of the acquisition branch of my agency. So the 3 systems that we really need is a sales framework, which basically is just me taking the sales calls. And for you guys as well, if you're going from that 0 to about 100K a month range, you're just going to take the sales calls yourself. You don't need any reps. Totally unnecessary, right? So it's basically me doing the sales, and then we have a onboarding framework, which we've essentially refined down to a single call. It's super important you do it this way because you can get all of the details in a single call, and that way it reduces the friction between a client signing with you and getting onboarded. And then there's like a fulfillment handover system, which basically just means like a handshake between me and also the fulfillment team to pass the client over so that I don't need to get involved into the actual service delivery side of things, right? And obviously, in order to book the sales calls itself, we need some sort of website or some sort of funnel. Fortunately, because a lot of the leads I have right now are warmed up already through my YouTube and through just a lot of content channels, we don't need anything too crazy in terms of a funnel. So I just use a Calendly link, and it's been working for me for the past 4 years. So I've kept that super simple. Now, on the product side, we sell one of 2 packages. One package is basically a 5K a month offer that people can sign up to on a monthly rolling basis. The other offer we have is another 5K one-time payment offer. And that's something that we downsell the brands that are not qualified to work with us on a monthly recurring basis. And the maths behind all of this is super simple. It's basically, right now we have about 27 clients paying us on average around 4.5K per month. right? And because we have a 12-month retention, we just need to sign 2.5 clients every single month in order to hit, if we were starting from zero, by the way, in order to hit $135,000 per month within a year. That's basically it. And also, another really important thing is I've nailed my team structure. It's basically me as the CEO at the top, my COO, we have some performance leads, graphic designers, and then the clients themselves. So you might be wondering, okay, Boyan, you just like rapid fired a bunch of information at me. How is this applicable to me? Well, you might have noticed one thing, which is actually my agency funnel looks very simple. I didn't go into the whole like, oh, there's like an email. You might have noticed one thing, which is that my agency is actually super simple in terms of structure, offer, and systems. We only sell two things. My team structure is very fixed, and we only have very few channels. Notice how I didn't have the normal like agency breakdown diagram where there's like, oh, you know, when we do cold emails, right? When we send emails, there's like follow-up sequences, you know, there's pre-call qualification email series, yada, yada, yada. It's because truthfully, that all overcomplicates the funnel and doesn't actually yield the results that you actually want, right? So one of the principles I really want to talk to you guys about before I kind of break down exactly what you need to build literally any agency or service business, right, is the centric principle of simplicity scales. You can see we only sell one service, right, in two forms. Sales process, super easy. We have two main sales channels, one inbound, aka YouTube, the other outbound where we're actively outreaching to brands, and then third being just organic word of mouth, which will happen if I just do those two, right? So really we have two acquisition channels with one acquisition channel emerging as a result of the other two and having a really good fulfillment side of the business, this side. And in terms of systems, right now it's just myself taking a sales call, or two, if it needs to be a 2-call close type of deal. Myself and my fulfillment team doing our onboarding call together, and then transitioning the clients to communicating with my team exclusively, right? So all of my systems. And even in terms of funnel, I don't have anything crazy. I don't have like opt-in pages with a lead magnet, all of this crap, right? It's simply just book a call stage. It's simply just a book a call Calendly link. And then in terms of the products that we sell one price, fixed MRR package, and then also a one-time fee package. It's basically the same service, except one is a fractionalized variation of the complete package, which is like our monthly flagship service. And then we have a very simple maths equation that we follow in order to reverse engineer our goals. And in terms of team structure, it's basically just, I'm the sales team, the other half of my business is the fulfillment team, and that's gonna be managed by my COO. Life is simple, right? And honestly, I don't need to work that much on the agency if I wanna maintain it to be around the $150,000 a month mark. So I'm gonna break down exactly what you actually need to scale any service business. So on the acquisition channel, you don't actually need to copy me. You essentially need two ways in order to attract clients, which basically the referrals and introductions will happen if you just nail this top of funnel channel. So what a top of funnel channel is, and if you want to grow to 7 figures, especially if you want to do 20K a month, you only need a single channel. Right now we have two, obviously it's YouTube and cold outbound, right? So one is an inbound top of funnel channel, the other one is a outbound top of funnel channel. What you need to do is, you just need to pick a channel and stick to it. I promise you, don't overcomplicate this. If you want to get clients through Instagram DMs, good. If you want to do it through cold calls, good. If you want to knock doors, good. If you want to send direct mail, fine. Cold emails, great, awesome, do you. The point is, you need to pick one singular thing and stick to it. Now, Now, let me give you some examples of what exactly is an example of a top of funnel channel, right? So top of funnel channels are split into two ways. You have inbound and you have outbound. Inbound is things where you are putting out content, or you are putting yourself out there in order to attract clients to come to you, right? So examples of that would be YouTube, Twitter, paid ads, Facebook groups, for example. There's also TikTok or Instagram Reels, you know. All of these things are examples of ways to attract clients to you. Newsletters as well, forgot to mention, right? Whereas outbound channels are you going outbound to approach clients to sign with you themselves. So an example of an outbound channel would be cold emails, you know, sending emails B2B to acquire calls, and then cold DMs, right? And this could be on any platform: LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, it doesn't really matter. You can also call people. So cold calling, that's another method of outbound. That's an example. There's also things like direct mail in terms of sending packages to people. That's a very effective method as well. But the point is, in the beginning, especially if you're a complete novice at all of this, you literally close your eyes and then you write all of these down and then you just, boom, pick one. There you go. Facebook groups. Every one of these channels will work most likely for your niche, and literally to get to 10, 20K a month, you just need to pick one and stick to it. That's it. So now that we've established the top of funnel channel, how do you actually go about acquiring referrals and introductions? Well, first things first, you need to understand one thing, which is that in order for someone to introduce or refer you business, you are essentially leveraging what's known as their social capital, aka their reputation, right? So I have a reputation of people trusting me to get them results that I'm essentially like selling them on, right? I have social capital. I have good reputation built within my circle. Now, if you are someone that I don't really know, I've never done business with you, right? You approach me and say, hey, yo, bro, I have this really good thing. Can you sell your clients my thing and I'll give you 10%? I'm gonna say, fuck off, right? Because it's taken me years to build up this like trust and reputation. I'm not gonna like risk it for 10% affiliate commission. So how do you actually encourage people to get referrals and introductions? It's actually simply by having a good service and telling people that you pay a percentage for referring. Which basically sounds like the whole 10% affiliate thing. But remember, step one is having a good service. Super, super important. If you don't have this step in place, it's gonna be completely pointless you trying to get referrals, because no one's gonna risk their reputation for you. Because the thing is, if you give someone a good introduction, not only do they get good results, but also your social capital goes up as well. Because your reputation also gets improved, as now you are known as someone with great connections that are super useful and reliable as well. So in the beginning, don't worry too much about introductions or referrals. Focus on getting one top of funnel channel working and building a great service. Now let's talk a bit about the sales side, right? If you're trying to close B2C type of deals in terms of coaching, consulting, whatever, because that's, believe it or not, another service business, right? Which is the same thing as an agency. You're essentially selling people on like a business opportunity, right? Whether it be drop shipping, SMMA, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You're selling B2C. You got to understand the mindset is very different when you're selling B2C versus B2B. So determine if you are selling B2C or if you're selling B2B. The sales process is going to be slightly different, because B2C, it's more of an emotional sell, right? People are not as clued up around whatever it is you're trying to sell. Whereas B2B, you're essentially selling to experts, right? So my sales system, when I'm trying to close 8 and 9 figure brands, are going to be very different than if I was trying to close a 6-figure brand, right? It's just simply the language I'm going to be using, the vision that I'm trying to sell them on, the type of coaching and consulting that I need to involve in order to close those deals are going to vary a little bit, right? So in terms of sales systems, do not script this. It's literally just think about it as a conversation of discovery, aka you are finding out what the problem your prospect is facing and then aligning it to whatever solution you can actually provide. So in terms of sales, it's simply a case of determining, okay, is the person I'm speaking to facing problems that I can actually help them solve? And if it is, how do I present my solutions in the most relevant way? So for example, one of the things that you might see in a lot of sales scripts that is more geared towards B2C would be something like someone asking a question like, okay, if you were to hit your goals within 12 months time, right? How would that impact your life? This is an awesome question to potentially ask if you're selling, let's say, B2C. But if I'm selling like a 7, 8, 9-figure brand owner, the truth is their life is not going to change at all because they already have a sick life, you know? So presenting your solutions in the most relevant way really comes across through the quality of questions you're able to ask. Now, let's talk a bit more about once you actually close the deal, what happens? Well, I like to do the onboarding call ASAP because we're trying to shorten the delay as much as possible between a client paying us and them getting the first bit of results. So in terms of the onboarding call, we literally gather all of the various details that we would need and also give them a very clear-cut timeline that we would look to follow in terms of getting them from A to B. A being where they are, B to being where they're trying to get to. Now, the onboarding thing actually requires a completely different video on its own. So if you guys want that video, let me know in the comments, because it's a bit of a more of a nuanced topic that I could talk about, but super, super important. Now, let's talk a bit more about like the fulfillment handover process, which essentially is just passing the work onto my team so that way I can focus on the sales aspect, right? In the beginning, don't worry too much about this. You're not going to need this until you're at least at 20, 30K a month with a proper team in place. So just to reiterate, you need to find a way to sell, you need to have an onboarding framework, and don't worry too much about the fulfillment handover. It's not going to be relevant until you guys are at a slightly bigger scale. Now I'm going to clean up my little Notion board real quick. So in terms of websites and funnels, honestly, a lot of people overcomplicate this. You don't really need a website in the beginning. You don't need any type of funnels. So scratch the whole idea of, getting a really beautiful website going for your agency first before you can outreach. Nonsense. You don't need testimonial pages. You literally don't need anything. What you need in the beginning is a Calendly link. That's literally about it. You need a Calendly link, you need a professional domain email, and you need like a WhatsApp account. That's it. So basically, even to this day, how my agency functions is if someone wants a call with me, I just send them my calendar, they book in, I speak to them. There's no in between, there's no opt-in funnels, nothing crazy. We're gonna have that in terms of the next evolution of my agency, but for now, to get to 150K, like we really don't need it. We're gonna get there even without this. But yeah, don't overcomplicate the website and the funnels, right? In terms of your product, this is where actually a lot of people don't really pay attention to this or really give it too much thought. But essentially, your product and what you're fundamentally selling is gonna make or break client acquisition. Because for example, let me paint you a picture, right? If you try to enter the market now and sell like a generic email offer for e-commerce brands, like you'll say something like, hey, brand owner, my name is Boyan, I run an email marketing agency and we help 6, 7, 8-figure brands generate an additional 20, 30% without a single dollar spent on ads. It's oversaturated as an offer. Everyone knows you're talking about emails and you're gonna get fucked. right? So the fundamental product and how you actually position your offer is going to be super, super important. I'm going to do an offers video in the future, but essentially what you're trying to do is, with your product, is you're trying to demonstrate a very clear value proposition, right? In terms of, obviously, emails generates revenue, but how can you show that your way of doing email marketing is better than my way of doing email marketing, let's say, right? And you can't, because my way is the best way. Just kidding. But like, actually, we do a good job, so I don't recommend you going into the email space because it is very oversaturated, and if I had to start an agency from scratch, I wouldn't do it myself, right? But let's say you were to pick pest control, right? Like a pest control agency. Well, your offer could be, I will get you 3 pest control jobs every single week, booked onto your calendar that you just need to show up for, and you guys can even close the deals, right? I'm just like, spitting out different offers. And in terms of the fundamental service you're selling for pest control could be, you run the ads in that local area, you make the call, you close them on the package, and then you just pay the client, let's say, an X amount to actually fulfill the job. So now basically you've built like a hybrid between a pest control marketing agency versus a white labeled pest control service, essentially, right? So your product is super important. Try to go after a slightly less saturated market. And again, if you guys want to learn how to pick markets, drop a comment. But essentially your product is going to be super, super important and high leverage. Now let's move on to the math side of things, right? So the maths behind any service business is actually super simple. If you want to understand how to get to your desired level of income within your agency, what you essentially need to do is you just need to work out how many clients you need to sign every single month. And this is the equation in order to do so. So the first thing you need to estimate is how many months do you expect a client to stay on with you. Now, if you're watching this video and you have an agency with clients already, then you should have a rough idea of how long the average client signs on for, right? So for example, in the very, very beginning when I had a totally shit service, I might have had a 3-month retention. I didn't, but if I had a really shit service, I might only have, let's say, a 3-month retention. So I'm gonna mark that as 3. And let's say my goal is, $50K a month, and my average billable is 5, right? And I were to do this equation, then that means it will be 3 over 50 divided by 5, right? Which is basically 3 over 10. So essentially, I need to sign around 3.3 clients every single month in order to hit 50 clients a month within 3 months. And now I just realized that this part should be on top and this part should be on bottom. But anyways, the whole point is, right, this is how many clients I would need to sign every single month in order to hit this goal. And once you know this number for your agency, that's when you can kind of reverse engineer your outreach numbers, etc., etc. So for example, if right now you know that it takes 1,000 cold emails for you to get a single call, and you need 5 calls in order to close a single client, right? Then you can just simply know that in order to close 3.3, let's just round this down to 3 clients a month. Essentially, you need 15 calls because you need 5 calls per closed client. That means you need to send 15,000 cold emails every single month in order to get the desired outcome of 50K per month, let's say, right? And once you know this, now you know how to build your acquisition channels and feed them into your sales systems. And also you know how fast you need to hire and grow your fulfillment team. So that's basically it for my 7-figure agency funnel. If you guys found this useful, drop a comment. I answer all comments and questions every single day. And if you guys want more insights, join my newsletter where I send out weekly value around how to actually build and grow and scale service businesses. I'll see you in the next one.